Hello everyone, how you doing? Today, for you, I have another countdown, this time with my personal favorite Final Fantasy titles. This will also include spin-offs. I'll let you know from the get-go that you'll most likely disagree with this list, but hey, that's what makes us humans. Don't forget that this is my personal list and like so, it's different from yours. Please do tell me though, what's your list? Without further ado, let's begin. Number 5. Our first entry in this list is a Final Fantasy that my original run was played completely in Spanish, and one thing to bear in mind is that I'm Portuguese. Even though I understood most of it, it wasn't the best experience. Final Fantasy IX is a game that I poured many hours into, mostly because I was a kid and many times I had no idea where to go next. The gameplay was really top notch, even though it had insane loading times when starting a fight or being forced into trance. But in the end of the day, it's a really solid entry in the franchise. Not being able to fully understand Spanish was a challenge, but I did manage to finish it after a few months, and even though I understood little of the story back then, I really enjoyed playing it. Number 4. Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII was actually the game that made me want to create this top 5 list. I started this game for the first time on a friend's PSP, and on a single day I got to around half of the game. I was hooked. It's a shame that I had to wait a little while longer to be able to finish it due to not owning a PSP back then. The gameplay is so fast-paced and good that from time to time I still pick up this game. And another thing that I usually do is listen to many of the game's soundtracks, as I have many of them ready to be played on my phone. Number 3. Dissidia is a fighting game that I never thought it would work. I remember reading about it when it was first announced and thinking that it was really confusing. When I started playing though, I was completely hooked and dropped more than 200 hours into it. Then Duodecim was announced, and I knew from the get-go that I was going to pour at least 200 more into it. I was right. The second entry had more characters and a new story mode. On top of that, the original story mode was available for your pleasure. I played the story mode, replayed the originals, and even got every single character to level 100. I have a problem. Number 2. One of the most recent entries, and already one of my favorites, Final Fantasy XV was a game that I was really fearing that was going to be bad. It isn't, but it does have some big flaws here and there. However, that's not why it's so high on this list. That is thanks to the characters and how they interact with each other, making it really feel like a road trip from a group of friends. You feel the pain they go through and share their laughs, and that's what made me fall in love with the game. I will admit that I didn't spend that much time with the game aside from the main story, but I'll blame my life and the need of doing other things aside from playing, and when I can indeed play, I'd rather experience a story from another game and not simply walk around and do secondary stuff. That's a personal problem of mine. Number 1. Are you even going to be surprised with my number 1 pick? If you are familiar with me and my YouTube gameplay channel, you'll know that I absolutely love Final Fantasy X. It may have to do with the fact that it was my very first Final Fantasy, and that I was a kid completely new to the series. I knew nothing, not even chocobos, and when I started the game, I was as lost as Tidus. A vast world full of colors, but also very sad, as it is tormented by sin. I love the characters and how they interact with each other, and how you get to know them and, in my case at least, grow attached. This was also my very first game to make me cry by the end, and up to this day, it's still one of my favorite video game endings. And so you have it, another countdown completed. Hope you all enjoyed, and we'll be seeing each other next time. Bye bye.